me see. Make sure this volume working. Wanting to pop on here real quick. Let me get this working. Just to do a quick message for 2022. Let me have my time, get my time right. Okay. Let me turn my time on. Just gonna be on here for 30 minutes. Just a real quick talk, chat for those of you who support me on Instagram. Now, Sunday I'm doing a full online seminar on Zoom. And to sign up for that, just go to TonyGassisAcademy.com. That may be like 2 hours or more. But you'll see it says, this is my year, 2022. You'll see it say 2022 on the course. But that's on TonyGassisAcademy.com. We're doing that Sunday at noon. But for those of you who can't make that, can't be a part of that, I wanted to pop on here and do a quick video. Now, it's something that I've noticed, and as I'm kind of, looking around and listening and gathering the data, you can see that today we're in a space where the microwave mindset, we have the microwave mindset where we want everything right away. We want instant gratification. We want everything to happen overnight. We want overnight success. We want to be a millionaire before 30. We want to own 10 properties before 30. We want to, have a retirement account full by the age of 40. We want everything overnight. We want to be married. We want to have a family by the age of 28. We want everything so quickly. And a lot of times we don't realize that it takes time to develop muscle. It takes time to develop what you need. Let me turn off the comments. I got it on Do Not Disturb, so hopefully I want a way I could keep the comments on, but not have it where it's for me. Where we have to get to a place where we can develop and understand that it takes time to build that muscle. And I read a long time ago from Zig Ziglar, I think the title of one of his books was Embrace the Struggle. And this was probably 2010 or something. And I remember when I posted that, a lot of people didn't understand it. And I remember seeing somebody say, I would never tell anybody to embrace the struggle. And what it was is people just don't understand it. People don't understand that there's strength in the struggle. We don't understand that there's lessons in the struggle. That those low moments, those down times, those times where we don't have everything we want, that's a time for growth. And we have to embrace that and get to a place to where we can appreciate the climb. You have to come to a moment where you are able to say to yourself, don't let me receive it a second before I'm ready. Don't let it come a second before I'm ready to receive it. Because what you perceive as a blessing can be a burden if you are not strengthened and conditioned to carry that blessing. Because with everything comes a certain level of weight. So with more income comes a certain responsibility. With a promotion comes responsibility. With access to different parts of life comes with responsibility. That marriage you want will push you. It will challenge you. It will stretch you. And you have to be willing to grow. The children that you want will push you and challenge you. So you have to develop emotional intelligence. You have to develop to a place where you can handle the tests from life. There's a quote that says, life is a twisted teacher because it gives the test first and the lesson after. And a lot of times we don't understand that because we go to school where you get the lesson first and then you get the test. But in life, you may be tested. And if you were not paying attention in the slow times, in the low times, then you'll miss the lesson. So you actually being tested and you did not see the lesson because you did not embrace the struggle. So the struggle could be whatever you define it as. It can be working a job that you don't want to work. It can be being in a relationship that you're looking for a moment of a breakout where you can leave. It could be living in a house or a neighborhood that you don't want to be in, living with a friend or family member. It can be a period of time in your studies in school. The struggle is whatever you define it. It can be when you're overweight and you're trying to get some weight off of you. It can be any area of life. But in every area, there is a lesson. And there's always another level. It's always somebody who looks like they're doing better. But the key to being on the road to destiny is you cannot get caught up looking left and right. You cannot get caught up looking behind you. You have to be looking ahead. You gotta be looking through the windshield. Because if you looking to the left or to the right for too long, you're gonna wreck. If you're looking in the rear view mirror for too long, you're gonna wreck. Your eyes got to be on the road. You cannot go too fast, because if you go too fast on the road to destiny, you're going to crash or you're going to get a speeding ticket. You cannot pick up hitchhikers on the road to destiny because you don't know who you are letting in your vehicle. So you cannot just pick up random people. When you stop at the rest stop, you cannot sit for too long. You can't rest for too long or you won't get to your destination in time. So you got to gather yourself, get a little rest because rest is productive, but then you got to get back on the road. And you have to make sure that the people riding with you have gas money if they are adults. Now, your children are your only dependents, or adults who cannot take care of themselves, your elderly parents, a sibling who has special needs, a parent who has special needs, family member who has special needs. Those who cannot do for themselves are dependents. But everybody who is able-bodied and able-minded, you have to be able to let them crawl until they learn how to walk, and let them walk until they learn how to run. Because, see, we live in a society where people do not mind hitching their wagon to your horses, and your horses pulling your wagon and now pulling their wagon. And people will invite other people to hitch their wagon onto the back of their wagon because your horse is doing all the work. We live in a society where adults do not mind being carried by another adult. But see, in order to really get what you deserve out of life, you gotta be willing to stand on your own 2 feet. You gotta be willing to go alone in certain seasons. And you have to be able to analyze your life and come up with a game plan that fits you. See, the next person's blueprint might not be your blueprint. So you can't get caught up believing in every course that you take, every book that you read, because for every human, there is a history and there is a biography. And that is the makeup of that man or woman. So my blueprint may assist you, but it may not be the end all be all. So you got to be able to understand that only you have your fingerprint. So what that means is that the door to destiny is unlocked by your fingerprint. That I cannot unlock your door to destiny, meaning the place where you want to be in your life. When we say destiny, not speaking of something super spiritual or overly deep, meaning the place, the goals you want to reach have to be unlocked by you. Because only you have your fingerprint, and the door that will open has to be accessed by you and you only. Your seat at the table will not be occupied if you don't make it. If you don't get there, your seat will be empty. Now, other people will assume their position. Other people will find their seat, but your place at the table will be empty. And so you have to understand that you have to create a blueprint for your life that makes sense to you. Because if you only go by someone else's blueprint, then you will always need that person. So if you have to learn every single thing that you're doing from someone else, then you may not be doing the right thing. If you can't teach yourself about your business or your industry, if you cannot innovate, Steve Jobs said the difference between a leader and a follower is innovation. If you cannot innovate, then you cannot elevate. And so you have to understand that you may have to separate before you elevate. That went viral one time. That come from me. You talking to the author of the quote that says separation comes before elevation. Because think about it. What is a plane doing when it comes off the ground? It's picking up speed, and then it starts to separate from the ground, and then it elevates. And so you may have to let some people go. You may have to let some things go. And see, the problem with our world is that we don't appreciate pain. But I was listening to a Tony Dungy speech a long time ago, and I think he was getting accepted to the Hall of Fame or something like that, or maybe he had won a championship or something. And he was telling about one of his children who did not have pain sensors, that the pain sensor in the brain did not work properly. So his child would run to the hot oven when the cookies were done and just stick his hand in there and get burned. And that because the brain pain sensors did not work, it would take forever to heal. And so the moral of the story is pain is a healing agent, because when your brain processes pain, it sends healing agents to the area that has been wounded. So when you are wounded in life, unless you can admit that you feel it, you cannot heal it. Unless you can process the pain, then you cannot begin the healing. But see, what we do is we run from the pain. We run from the problems. And what I mean by running from the pain and the problems is we run to the bottle. We run to the weed. We run to the casino. We run to the other drugs. We run to fornication. We run to adultery. We run to masturbation. We run to pornography. We run to a vice to numb the pain, to help us forget what we are struggling with instead of doing the work. I got a quote I posted a long time ago that says that when you cannot get over it, and you cannot get under it, and you cannot get around it, you have to go through it. In the movie Mr. Carter, I think it was, or something like that, Coach Carter, in the poem it says, you have to go through to get to. And I never forgot that, because we live in a world where nobody wants to go through anything. You may have to go through your car being repossessed. You may have to go through being evicted. You may have to go through having bad credit. You may have to go through a breakup or a divorce. You may have to go through losing a family member or a friend or a loved one. You have to go through to get to, because as you're going through, there is a lesson. And that's why the quote says, don't just go through, grow through. But you have to go through. And so when you are in a place where you feel uncomfortable, you have to embrace the discomfort, because there's a lesson before the blessing. There will always be a lesson before the blessing. And you have to understand that. And so when you're willing to get the lesson, now I know y'all think that belonged to Steve Harvey. That actually come from me too. Whoever run his account, I tweeted that out a long time ago. It's another quote that I had that went viral that some people attributed to another motivational speaker, and it says, "You cannot cheat the grind because it knows exactly what you have invested, and it will only give you what you've put in." So see, we have to understand, and so I want y'all to understand this. When you hear me say something, if it don't come from me, I'm going to attribute it to who I got it from. If I ain't attributing nobody, that mean it come from me, but I have over 30,000 original quotes online. So a lot of stuff I say is going viral, and a lot of people get that confused because they don't expect a young black man to be saying this stuff. People write me and thought Tony Gaskins Jr. was dead because they found my quote in another part of the world. But see, that's what God will do when you allow yourself to be tested, and your metal is being tested, and you're being pruned, you're being groomed, you're being shaped, you're being molded for your position in the world. Because no human is born without a purpose. But if you don't understand the pain, if you don't respect the process, and Joel Embiid followed me on Twitter, and I would always post, "Trust the process." And he started saying that. And Philadelphia Sixers started saying, and I think Phil Jackson said it too, and it went viral. And we would always hear this. We would always hear this. But if you don't understand the process, if you don't understand the pain, if you don't understand these things, then guess what? You will not reach your purpose. Because if you notice, anyone who has ever lived a purpose that you know of, that was brought to your attention, they went through painful moments. Some lived a painful life and some died a painful death. But their purpose lives on. Their purpose will serve. This my left hand. The camera inverted. So this my left hand. I don't wear my watch on my right hand. And to the lesson to the men, you're supposed to wear your watch on your left hand. Wherever this right here is supposed to be on the outside so that you could change it. If you got this right here on the inside, you got your watch on the wrong hand. This my left hand. This my wedding rings. But the camera inverted. See, the Lord tell me what people mind thinking, so I have to address it as I'm talking. So you have to get to the place where when life is testing you, you can laugh in the face of the test. And you can appreciate the test. And you could come to the place that you say, woo, well, oh my goodness, boy, the devil busy, boy. Boy, the devil busy. Woo, oh my goodness, got laid off from a job. My goodness. Well, got to get his car up. Well, got to get repossessed. Well, got to move back in with my mama. Lord, what you want me to get out of this? Lord, what's the lesson in this right here? And then you remember all of those dinners that you went and had that you weren't supposed to have. You remember the people you gave money to who got two working legs. You remember the fornication you was in, the unification you was in that you wasn't supposed to be in. And now you got the lesson. So now you got the lesson, and it's a quote that says, "Success is how high you bounce after you hit rock bottom." It's from a quote app I used to have. I don't know the author name. Success is how high you bounce after you hit rock bottom. See, you got to appreciate rock bottom. But see, we in a society today that is raising boys and that is raising girls, meaning grown boys and grown girls, meaning that we don't appreciate rock bottom. We don't look at the mistakes that we made. We don't look at the bad choices we made. A bad choice and a mistake is the same thing. And so we will come to a place and say, oh, I'm a single parent. And then life is hard and I'm a single parent. And then but the question that is begged to be asked that we oftentimes don't ask is, who on average, now we're not talking about the exceptions to the rule, who told you to lie down with the person you lied down with? Who warned you about the person you were sleeping with and told you not to be with that person that you ignored? Okay. We have freedom. A lady named Miss Mack, who I work with at the NBA Players Association, she said to me one time, we was in the car in between after my speech or after her speech. And she said, we have freedom of choices, but we don't have freedom of consequence. You got freedom of choice, but you don't have freedom of consequence. And so I have to remind people sometimes that 9 out of 10 times the place you are in is because of the decisions you have made if you're an adult. Now, sometimes life happens to us. But what we have heard and learned from some great mind that said life is not happening to you, life is happening for you. So everything, and it was brought to my attention one time, I was working with the top 100 basketball players, and I was saying that I wish I did not have to go through what I went through, and I wish I wouldn't have made the bad choices I made of being a drug dealer and being a womanizer and being a criminal. I wish I had not made those choices. And a young man who he had to be in 10th or 11th grade because that's who the camp was for. He said, but if you didn't make those choices, you wouldn't be here for us. You wouldn't be able to share the message that you sharing. So do you really wish you hadn't made it? And I say selfishly, I wish I could do it over. But honestly, you're right. It has served a purpose. So see, don't go through pain and not recognize the purpose. Because we are in a mind and a world that says, woe is me. Woe is me. Oh, poor me. This happened to me. Guess what? It happened to you because it would not kill you. But had it happened to your sister, had it happened to your brother, had it happened to your friend, had it happened to one of your other family members, it would have took their life. So the fact that you survive is so that you can teach the lesson from the pain to save someone else. You now are the one-eyed man or woman in the land of the blind. You now have the battle scars and the wounds that if you cannot change it, if you cannot go back into the past and change it, then you have to decide what are you going to do with the things that have happened to you. Because if you sit in a place of just sulking and feeling bad for yourself, the person who hurt you wins. So you have to come to a place to where you can say, you know what? I'm going to get up from this. I'm going to get up from this and I'm going to win. And I'm going to turn my pain into purpose. I'm going to use my story for God's glory. I'm going to turn my mess into my message. You see, they tell people that nothing sells better than a story. And if you notice, we learn from stories in the books in school and in the books of the Bible. In the songs that we sing, we learn it from stories. And so what we have to do is come to a place to where we understand that it's our story that's going to set people free. That's going to set us free. It's your story that separates you from every other person. So you could start a business that somebody else has started, but if you have a story that connects to your business, if the other person is just in business to make money, then you're going to out-earn that person because you have a story. If you become an esthetician because you struggled with problematic skin and you did all the research in the world to correct your skin, and then after correcting your skin, you wanted to help others, so you went and got a license, and then you became an esthetician. When somebody comes to your company's website and they see your before pictures and they see your after pictures and they read your story, now you have separated yourself from every other person who became an esthetician because it looked cute online. You see, it's your story that's going to separate you. But in order to have that story, then you also have to have, in order to have that story, let me turn the comments back off. Y'all forgive me. I was trying to make sure my time was set and make sure my sound was still on, because I know y'all be noticing my sound off. In order to have your story, you got to have your experience. You got to have your experience. And I'm going to tell you something. There's a lesson right here. When I have, just from the comments. If you want a breakthrough, stop trying to be heard and instead be seen. Let your work speak for itself. Let the results speak for itself. Be okay being quiet. See, we live in a world of attention seeking. You got to make sure that when you open your mouth, you saying something. Notice that I'm not on live brushing my teeth and sitting on a video game, just playing a video game and letting you just sit there. When I open my mouth, it's to set somebody free. It's to propel somebody. I only talk if my word's gonna count. And so the people who know me in person, that's why I'm so quiet. Because the breath that I expend, I cannot get back. So when something comes out of my mouth, it gotta serve a purpose. Stay out the comments being a distraction. This is a metaphor for life, not just for Instagram Live. Stay out the comments seeking attention. Get the message, get the lesson, do the work, and let the results speak. We got to do less talking and more working. We got to do less watching and more working. See, listen to me. A lot of people don't understand this. They say, Tony, what book are you reading? I'm reading the book of life, meaning I'm analyzing my life. I'm analyzing my experiences, and I'm analyzing the lives of others, and I'm sitting down and I'm taking the time to draw a lesson, because I want what my mind will develop and not what somebody else's mind has developed. Now, I can read somebody's book, but that cannot be the only thing I do. I gotta also analyze it for myself, so that when I hear what they say in their book, I realize that our vantage point is different. Because if we at two different places in the climb, my view is going to be different than their view. So they learned something from where they were when they saw that in life. But I'm learning something different based on where I am. So if I discount my voice and everyone else is the expert, then I fail. So you cannot listen to somebody tell you what you cannot do. You cannot listen to somebody tell you what you have to do. You have to take what they say and you have to analyze it, and you have to look through your lenses and see what life teaches you. And then you create your blueprint, and then you do the work. And when you get the results from the work that you did, then you can share your blueprint for someone to utilize until they discover their own. See, you got to believe in yourself, and you got to trust your work. You got to trust what your pain, your process, and your purpose until you get to your prize, until you get to your finished product, until you get to where you're going. You got to be able to do the work. Hey, so I said I was going to do 30 minutes. God bless you. We'll talk soon. And God bless y'all for the badges. We'll talk soon. Oh, You know, I forgot to say, if you want to be in the live Zoom, it's Sunday at noon. If you go to my TonyGaskinsAcademy.com, it's called This Is My Year. It's the first course on TonyGaskinsAcademy.com. It's only $25. It's probably going to be 2 to 4 hours long. It's going to be a lesson on Zoom, and then we're going to do a Q&A. And it's going to be a large group of people, you know, maybe 100 or more. But we're going to be able to go in depth. This right here, this just a little preview. And I got 7 specific keys that I'm going to be teaching on in that live seminar. And if you can't make the live, it's also a course with the 7 videos. The videos won't go as in depth because I have a videographer when I'm filming. And so I can't talk for 30 minutes per video or 30 minutes per lesson because the videographer is sitting there squirming in the chair. So I cut it short out of respect for the videographer. But on the Zoom, we going to go on in. And so visit my site, TonyGaskinsAcademy.com. And you can sign up for it. And it ain't for everybody, because you understand a lot of people don't invest in themselves. Most people don't. But that's the difference between the 99% and the 1%, is those who willing to do the work. Everybody ain't gonna do the work. So I always ask my son, I say, son, when you look around me and you see my peers, who do you see living the exact same life that I'm living on the level that I'm living in? He say, nobody. I say, because most people ain't willing to do the work. So if you ain't willing to do the work, you can't have the result. So, hey, God bless you. We'll talk soon.